Good morning, students. In this video, we will discuss some question answers from life process chapter. So, first question is how all the conditions required for photosynthesis get fulfilled in leaf. So, we all know that process of photosynthesis takes place in green leaves of plant. So, all the conditions it should must be fulfilled in the leaf. And what are the conditions which are required for photosynthesis? So, there are four conditions required for photosynthesis, that is carbon dioxide, sunlight, chlorophyll pigment, and water. So, our question is how all the conditions required for photosynthesis get fulfilled in leaf. So CO2 from atmosphere enters into the leaf through stomata. So we all know that CO2 is present in our atmosphere. So directly from stomata they enters into the leaf, and plants get sunlight from sun during daytime, and chlorophyll pigment already remain present in green leaves, and water is conducted from soil up to the leaf by the process of transpiration. So this is how the all the conditions it get fulfilled in the leaf. Now next question is why transpiration is a necessary evil for plants. So one side we are calling this transpiration as a necessary, on the other hand we are saying it as a evil. So why transpiration is a necessary evil for plants? So by the process of transpiration, first of all we should know what is transpiration. So loss of water in the form of water vapor from the aerial parts of plant is known as transpiration. So why transpiration is necessary for the plant? Because by the process of transpiration water is conducted up to the leaf, and if water will be not conducted then finally process of photosynthesis will not take place. So that's why transpiration is necessary. And why we are calling it as a evil? So water is a very precious substance, and around 90% of the water it will be lost, and only 10% of water will be utilized by the plant. So 90% of water simply it will be lost in the form of water vapor by the process of transpiration, and only 10% of water will be utilized by the plant. So that's why transpiration is known as necessary evil for the plants. Now come to the next question. What is destarching? How we can do destarching? So simply removal of starch from leaf is known as destarching. And the second part of question is how we can do destarching. So by keeping any plant in a dark room or a dark condition for 1 to 2 days we can do destarching. So actually what will happen if we'll keep any plant in a dark room, then whatever, so that plant it will be devoid of sunlight, so it will not able to perform photosynthesis. So for its survival that plant it will utilize all the starch which is stored in the leaf. So by keeping any plant in a dark room or dark condition for 1 to 2 days, all the starch of the plant it will be used up by the plant. Now come to the next question. Why we do discharging before conducting any experiment based on photosynthesis? So before conducting any experiment based on photosynthesis, so our first step is discharging. So why we do discharging? So answer is just to ensure that whatever starch is formed in leaf, it is formed during experimental conditions. So just to ensure this, we do discharging before conducting any experiment based on photosynthesis. Now next question is how we can test for the presence of starch in leaf. So we all know that by the process of photosynthesis formation of glucose will take place. So this glucose it is stored in plant in the form of starch. So many glucose molecules they will join together and they will form a long chain like structure, and this long chain of glucose is known as starch. So our question is how we can test for the presence of starch in leaf. Experimentally how we can prove that whether starch is present in leaf or not. So first step is that we will plug the leaf and boil it in water for 2 to 3 minutes, due to which the cells of leaf will become soft and dead. So our first step is to boil that leaf in water. And why we are boiling that leaf in water? To make the cells of leaf soft and dead. Second step is, after boiling in water, we will boil the leaf in alcohol for 2 to 3 minutes to dissolve chlorophyll pigment. And after boiling in water, we will boil that leaf in alcohol. And why we are boiling that leaf in alcohol? To dissolve chlorophyll pigment. And after boiling the leaf in alcohol, we will take out the leaf and add iodine solution to it. So this is very important. So we will add iodine solution, and if the leaf will contain starch, then the color of leaf it will changes to bluish black color. And if the leaf will not contain starch, then the color of leaf it will changes to brownish color. So this is important. So this is how we can test for the presence of starch. So always we have to remember which solution we add in leaf. Iodine solution. And after adding iodine solution, if the leaf will contain starch, then it will change to bluish black color. Now come to next question. How we can prove that sunlight is necessary for photosynthesis? So experimentally, how we can prove that sunlight is necessary for photosynthesis? So for this, we will take a small green potted plant and we will do destarching. After destarching, we will take out the plant and cover one of its leaf with black paper. We will left this experimental setup for few hours under sunlight for photosynthesis. Finally, we will pluck the leaf and test for the presence of starch. Then we will notice that the part of leaf which was covered by black paper, it will give negative result in starch test. Negative result means it will not change to bluish black color, it will change to brownish color. But the part of or the other leaves which was not surrounded by black paper, it will change to bluish black color. It will give positive result in starch test because it was exposed under sunlight. So this is how we can test that, experimentally prove that sunlight is necessary for photosynthesis. Next question is, how we can prove that chlorophyll pigment is necessary for photosynthesis? So we will take a variegated plant. So for this experiment, we have to take a special type of plant, that is variegated plant. So what is variegated plant? The plant which will possess, the leaf of that plant will possess green as well as non-green patches. For example, that money plant, you must have seen that money plant. So the leaf of money plant, it possesses yellowish or whitish patches apart from that green color. Coleus, croton, so these are all variegated plant which will possess green as well as non-green patches in their leaf. So for this experiment, which type of plant we have to take? So we have to take variegated plant. Now second step, we will do destarching and after destarching we will take out the plant and keep it under sunlight for photosynthesis. And before putting it under sunlight, we will draw outline of one of the leaf of plant. And finally, after few hours, we will pluck the leaf and test for the presence of starch. And when we will test for the presence of starch, then we will notice that the part of leaf which was green in color will give positive result in starch test, but the part of leaf which was not green in color will give negative result in starch test. So this is how we can experimentally prove that chlorophyll pigment is necessary for photosynthesis. Now come to the next question, how we can prove that CO2 is necessary for photosynthesis. So for this experiment, we will take a small green potted plant and we will do destarching. After destarching, we will insert one of the leaf of plant in a beaker containing KOH. So full form of KOH is potassium hydroxide. And what is, why we are taking KOH in this beaker? So this KOH, it will absorb all the CO2 molecule from the beaker, and finally there will be no CO2 molecule inside the beaker. So now third step, we will keep our experimental setup under sunlight for photosynthesis for few hours. Finally we will do starch test, and we will notice that the leaf which was inserted inside beaker will give negative result in starch test, but the leaf which was outside the beaker will give positive result in starch test, because the leaf which was inside the beaker, it was devoid of carbon dioxide, it was not getting CO2. So that's why it will give negative result in starch test. So this is the experiment. Now come to the next question. Write balanced equation for photosynthesis. So this is also important question which generally comes in exam. So you have to write this one: CO2 plus H2O combines together and form one molecule of glucose C6H12O6 plus 6O2 in presence of sunlight and CO2 chlorophyll pigment. Next question is draw transverse section of leaf and show the different parts of it. So if we will cut the transverse section of leaf, then what are the different structures we can see? So we have to draw this diagram. So this structure is known as the adaxial epidermis, upper epidermis, this is lower epidermis. These elongated cells are known as palisade mesophyll cells. These are spongy mesophyll cells, and palisade mesophyll and spongy mesophyll, they are collectively known as mesophyll cells. So these palisade cell and spongy cells, only process of photosynthesis takes place in this palisade cell and spongy cell because they possess numerous chloroplasts. So these dotted structure which you are seeing, so these are actually the chloroplast. So a single cell of palisade cell or spongy mesophyll cells, they possess around 50 to 60 chloroplast, and the entire process of photosynthesis, it takes place inside chloroplast, and these are stomata. So if question will come like this, draw transverse section of leaf, then you have to draw this diagram. Now come to the next question. What are the different steps of nutrition in human beings? So the different steps of nutrition in human beings are ingestion. So ingestion is the process of taking in of solid food through our mouth, is known as ingestion. Second step is digestion. The process by which breakdown of complex food into their simpler form takes place by the action of enzymes is known as digestion. Third step of nutrition is absorption. After the process of digestion, the digested food, it will be absorbed by our body and it will be transported to each and every cells and tissue of our body, and after absorption, assimilation will take place, the process by which absorbed food is utilized by cells and tissue for their growth and development, and the last step of nutrition is egestion, the process by which undigested food is thrown out of our body. So this is known as egestion. So total, what are the different steps of nutrition? Ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and egestion. Now come to the next question. What are the different components of human digestive system? Human digestive system consists of two components. First is the alimentary canal and second one is the digestive gland. So only this much in this video. So as a notes, I'm providing you this question answer as a notes. So you have to write down all these question answer in your note copy, that biology copy. Thank you. Have a nice day.